How's it going, everyone? I'm VenomousStare, and this is Juanito in the bottom left. He's been en route 5 times, he's changed his ID, more than that. It's Major, formerly Ghosty Terran, formerly Princess, formerly Kitty, formerly Anna Prosser. I think his ID is special now. I mean, this guy changes his ID like a Facebook status, but he's been around in the scene for a long time. And he is known for his macro and multitasking. He's also a guy who pretty much copies the Koreans straight up. It's what he bases his play off of. Which is fine, that's what many pros do, but if you're looking for creativity, Major isn't the guy to get it from. But if you're looking for really good macro, and a lot of good drop play, Major's probably who you should look to. He's also pretty much undisputably the best Mexican player. His opponent is Elazer in the top right, and he has won the previous game with a 1-base Ravager rush, and the game before that, Major won. So the best of 3 is currently tied 1-1. Elazer has gone for a bit of a pool first build, and this is interesting because if this was a true cheese, he would have done the pool earlier. Or if this was a Ling Bane all-in, he would have just gone hatch first and then done the gas pool and cut drones. So this is probably going to be that weird thing where he makes like 4 Lings, runs them across the map, hopes Major goes Reaper Expand, and he can go in right at the correct moment and kill the SCV, this one right here building the CC. Now this can be a bit tricky because you have to avoid the Reaper, but let's see what Major does with the Reaper. I know that Beyond likes to run up to right here and patrol with the Reaper for a second to see if Ling builds are coming. So let's see what Major does. And of course the Elazer's Lings are going to hide probably around here. Elazer's natural is about to finish. He's walking a queen out there. And Major's going to be looking around. He's like, okay, well, there's no proxy hatch at my 3rd. There's no Lings anywhere. I'm not getting Bane busted. But the Lings are hidden south, and let's look at Major's vision. Right out of the vision. So there goes the Reaper across the map. So Elazer has to go in right now, and here it is, as soon as he sees it. But see, the CC's already finished. Major played defensive enough with his Reaper to avoid the chance of anything wrong happening. So very subtle defensive maneuver there from Major. And now Major has 2 depots at his wall and Hellions coming. There's no way this does any significant damage. There's the Marine. There's the Hellion. Major's going to try to run around and save the Marine. And he does, saves the Marine. Only 2 SCVs go down, so really not much. And Major has scouted around. He's seen the 3rd base. There's nothing really to see in the main. He's going to peek in there, I think, though. He's okay. He has a lot of drones. I don't see a Baneling nest or a lair or anything. Okay, normal stuff. Meanwhile, the one weird thing that we do see is Overlord speed. Now, usually this is an upgrade that is rushed out versus Protoss from Dark. And that's really the only time when we see it this early, or if there's a Ling drop build. And some other players like to get it super early versus Protoss, but Major's going for a Hellion drop here. And of course the Elazer saw this. He invested a lot of gas early on to see what was going on. He saw the starport that early with Reactor Factory, and only 1 barrack screams Hellion drop when the starport doesn't have Tech Lab. And Elazer had Lings in position and had Lings pop out right at the correct moment. And Major's little drop is deflected. Now Major wanted to go for Cloak Banshee, but because the Speed Overlord darted back in, the Cloak Banshee is going to be scouted. Now back in the day when Cloak was 200, a lot of times people would just cancel this and do something else. I'll be interested to see what Major does, because the element of surprise is pretty damn important. And he cancels Cloak. Okay, that's a big deal. And let's look at Elazer's vision. He thinks Cloak is researching still. So Major has started a wall at his natural. He has a third base started very quickly. He's going for a Hellion drop. And it does a little bit of damage to Lings. Boom! Shoots some fire and runs away. So the point of this Hellion drop is the Hellions do bonus damage to light units, and if you can get all the volleys to go off at once, then it gives a lot of splash like that. Brilliant stuff. Basically, the point of a Hellion drop is you want to drop them somewhere undetected and then come up and deal a ton of splash to something that can't take splash. And then potentially, if there's no defense there, you can kill a lot of drones. So Major's going to continue to harass. He's probably going to focus drones there, roast a couple. Loses one Hellion for his trouble. But his third base is about to finish. He's taking gases 3 and 4. His wall is finished. His armory is finished. Elazer is scouting constantly. He's not going to be caught off guard by what Major's building. He sees, okay, he's going for a lot of Hellions. But defending against Hellions can be tricky, especially when they morph into Hellbats. And we can see a little bit of Raven harass going on. So great job there by Major to say, well, fuck that, I'm not going to make Cloak Banshees if you're going Speed Overlord and can scout it. I am going to go for the Raven, and the auto turret does a lot of damage to drones actually, guys. Hellbats are out here for Major, and the first 7 roaches of the game are out for Elazer. Now notice Elazer just finished his Roach Warren. His Roach upgrades are just now starting, so he's in a bit of a power trough right now, and Hellbats are going to aggress, and Hellions are going to run in the natural. This is quintessential classic Wings of Liberty mech. You attack in one spot, run the Hellions in the other, and then the Zerg is just constantly producing drones all game because they're behind. This is something we saw Vortex do, or excuse me, not Vortex. This is something we saw his brother Lucifron do in 2012. The style of mech that player, the Spanish Terran, popularized. Just constantly going after drones with Hellions all game long. And it gets to the point where the Zerg spends the whole damn game just making drones that he lost. Remaking drones that he lost. And this Raven here up top is extremely annoying for the Zerg, because all Major has to do is hit T and click twice, holding shift, and he can drop 2 really powerful turrets and run away. He's also going to scout a bit, but there is a spore there, so that's low now. Major has to be careful about that. Roach Speed and 1-1 are about to finish here for the Zerg. Now Elazer knows, well shit, I lost a lot of drones, over 30 workers. That is a ton. Major is a very talented player, and if we go to Elazer's vision, at some point he's going to figure out Major's had a third for a long damn time. Now, Elazer might just try to make mass Roach and break Major with 1-1, because playing against mech from behind is absolutely brutal. Hellion drop's going to get deflected there. Nice job keeping the Roaches in the main from Elazer. Juanito scans the natural, sees, okay, he lacks a gas, and he sees a lot of Roaches, so maybe that is a little bit indicative of the fact that Elazer's not completely teching up and going for a 4th in a macro game. If we look at Major's vision, he does see the lair, which is worth noting. So Elazer's going to press into the natural, and this could be tricky for Major because he doesn't really know where Elazer's going to fully commit. It could be the natural, it could be the 3rd. But he does have some scouting tools. He's going to run around with Hellions and be annoying. Now this is exactly what you want to do. Anytime Zerg moves out with Roaches, they're vulnerable to being backstabbed. And this is great stuff, just killing more workers. See how Elazer charted his army back? Major scans again. And at this point I think Elazer's going to thrust into the 3rd. Let's go to Major's vision. He's starting his double upgrades. His army's kind of between his 2nd and his 3rd. There it is. He sees the units at the 3rd. One tank here for Juanito. But Juanito might be in some trouble as the tank falls. Lots of Cyclones here, but lots of Roaches and Ravagers too. His Major might be in a little bit of trouble here, but here comes the tank. This tank is worth its weight in gold. And remember, these red units have to walk all the way across the map. There's not a whole lot of creep here for Elazer. He's been constantly harassed. And Elazer right beyond the tipping point here, but I think Major can hold as the siege tank goes into siege mode. Beautiful Hellbat positioning, as even though the siege tank did die, 3 Roaches were just getting licked with fire by Hellbats trying to go the long way around this ramp. And that was great positioning there to have the Hellbats kind of on the inside track of this ramp, so the Roaches had to derp all the way around. Another scan at the lair. Now the reason Juan is doing this is, yeah, he's kind of checking around for drones and defense and army, but he really wants to know when the hive is, because the Terran mech player kind of has to play around the hive. Because that was such a big pressure from Elazer, it was pretty much what you would consider an all-in. Elazer had lost so many workers, he was really relying on those 1-1 roaches doing a lot of damage. Elazer, if we go to structures, he does not have an infestation pit. He's trying to tech into Hydra, and wanted a 4th, but it got denied down here, so he'll take it in the middle. So he's trying to go into Hydra. He's having some money issues, as Michael Scott would say, some monkey issues. And we can see the Mexican Might Major in this best of 3 has more workers than the Zerg. He's even with the Zerg, and he even made the Zerg take the bad base. What I imagine happening in this game is we see Major finally adding his I'm floating minerals because I'm going mech into late game CCs. I expect Major just to harass throughout the game like he's been doing, and then once he gets a huge tank-based backbone, just pressure this natural in the middle, or not this natural, but this 4th base, because this 4th base in the middle is so hard to defend because you can clear up these rocks and just basically push through the middle of this map and kind of play around this tower, this high ground, and this high ground. And we can see Elazer knows, he's like, well, I know I'm behind in supply, I failed a big mid-game attack, and at this point mech's going to be very hard to hold, so he wants to try to kill that barracks. He gets it burning, but here Major's going to press into the middle of the map and scan, spreading out his tanks wonderfully, and Elazer's in a terrible position as the tank fire rains down upon the 4th. Elazer's going to pull everything here in a last-ditch effort, but Juanito kites back. He has Banshees and tanks for days, and Elazer looks like he might fall here because there are plain and simple so many tanks. Notice Major didn't stack them all in one little clump. He segmented them back out, so even if this attack didn't kill Elazer, he could fall back. And Elazer says, oh my lord, how much do you have? GG, well played. Major, the Mexican Terran, takes the best of 3. Great play. Subscribe for more.